The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corporation.
Thank you for tuning in to Consciously Speaking. I'm Jeff Renel. I'm here with today's guest, is visionary Michael Sean Brown. He is the Chief Executive of Delphi Southern Nevada Development Project. How are you doing today, Mike?
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Or Sean, I should say. I always do that. How are you doing today?
Good. Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you for taking time to come here and join us today.
Oh, I'm excited to be here, seriously. Sharing this stuff it's awesome.
Awesome. And you got an amazing project. Sean here, like I was just saying, is the chief executive of the Delphi Southern Nevada Development Project, which is a project that's going out about 45 minutes south of Nevada.
Yeah.
Or Las Vegas, I mean.
Yeah, out by Searchlight.
Out in the Searchlight area.
Yeah.
Where they were making, in my mind, the most extreme adult playground around, which is absolutely amazing. You got camping, water park type deals, canoeing, hiking, biking, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. We like to call it an emergent technology showcase and a consciousness playground.
And I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure.
You're a pilot for 12 years?
Yeah, well, actually,
I
was with United Airlines for about 20 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and towards the end of that 20 years, I was looking at building sustainable, intentional communities. I was in Northern California trying to build something in Redding, and then I saw some property down here in Las Vegas, and it's like mini Red Rocks or a little Grand Canyon out by just up north of Searchlight in this area, the Iratiba Peaks. And I'd never heard of it. I've been in the town for 20 years, and I'd never heard of these places.
Really?
Yeah.
So I'm just curious. I mean, did you master the Sims game or something like that, and just all of a sudden say, you know what, this is kind of boring. I think I need to go build my own city. How do you do this? I mean, how do you create and go after such a big project like this?
Yeah.
Because it's more than just the water park. You
Right.
have bigger ideas than just that.
More, yeah. This started out as a 155-acre music festival theme park. And then as we were doing our due diligence and looking at ways of getting water resources, we found that areas around Searchlight were available, and it came with water and a couple of other businesses. So what has come about is assembling about 5,000 acres in the Searchlight area that's essentially building a little city down there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And we definitely want to cover the city here that you're looking to create there, because this show is about future cities.
Yeah.
Or at least this actual episode is about future cities, and it's really amazing with the technology that we have nowadays on what we can actually do.
Yeah.
But what's really, I think, beautiful about what you guys are doing is that you're getting towns that you can start from the ground floor.
Yeah.
Not a city that's been around and already developed and has already its own set methods of water and all of that. You now can create something that is self-sustaining.
Right. Yeah, we're actually yin and yanging this, because the 155 acres that we're at it's raw land. So that, and it's not necessarily connected to the grid. If we wanted to be connected to the grid, it would cost some money and some infrastructure to get out there. So what we're doing there, that's why this is an emergent technology showcase. We're taking all of these technologies that allow us to start things off grid, and we're stacking them together to show that we can actually build something out in the middle of the desert. But again, as we were looking at doing that, and we were doing our due diligence on that property in the surrounding area, we found that there were some really awesome properties in the Searchlight area. And so we started, coming up with a list for us to be able to cherry pick, but going around and starting to look at places to build residential housing and places to build aquaponic operations and outdoor adventure, types of businesses there. So.
Yeah, and it's really awesome. What I was thinking while you were telling me that, it's, so many people are trying to create this self-sustainable home.
Yeah. And
they're trying to get off the grid and move out of town and all of this stuff, but in reality, that's just not practical for most people.
Yeah.
So I'm thrilled that something like this is happening, and especially right by my hometown. I would love to get off, to be in a self-sustained, get off the grid. That's,
Yeah.
I want to work, I want to be here, and I want to do things. So getting off the grid is a little bit impossible for me, but I would like to leave the smallest amount of footprint as possible while I'm here.
Right.
So I'm going to be one of your first residents, I'm sure.
Yep. Yeah, and we're the ones that are bridge walking. We are going from where we are today and the cities of the future tomorrow, and we're making sure that there are steps that get us there, because it's nice to think about these cities of the future, the cities of tomorrow, and what they could be, and pontificate about that stuff. But what are the step-by-step, to get from A to Z, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I've been doing, is looking for the people that understand those transitory steps of how do you start composting and recycling and doing these basic things, and then how do you get to the emergent technologies of plasma gasifiers or induction pyrolysis or some of these other more scientific-y or science fiction-y kind of technologies, but they're actually here today, But it's not using just all the smoke and mirrors of these new technologies. It's using what do we have, the tools of the day? How are we taking care of our refuse today? How are we managing our water? How are we managing our sewage? How are we doing all of this? Using those existing systems, but then looking at the best systems and looking at the new ones that are regenerative, the ones that are causing more positive output than input.
Exactly. Yeah. I was going to say, I forgot the word I was looking for here. Sorry.
Well, regenerative and sustainability are the two that we're so used to. Sustainability, which is treading water. The idea of we're going to just recycle these things or just kind of stay afloat. Regenerative is seriously where you're taking things that are input. Like I'm able to take landscaping waste that they would put into a truck and take out to the landfill and pile on there, and it would be all of this, this toxic slush that we're paying people to manage. Well, what we do with this landscaping waste is we take it and we grind it up and we compost and we turn it over, and now we have this organic soil that we can turn around and sell for. If we collect $10,000 a day in landscaping waste, we can sell about $7,500 a day in soil, and so now the waste that's come in, which was piled off and become this toxic sludge, is now something that I can turn around and sell. Right,
100% recyclable.
Right, and so that's where regenerative comes in. It's where we're taking what was waste and was going to be trash, and now we're turning into something that is resellable. Not just putting lipstick on a pig. It's actually turning something into something truly valuable, soil, so that you can actually grow the food in it again. That is going to come back into your composting, so that you can turn it into soil again.
And what's beautiful, just like nature.
Yeah. Right,
Just
that's
like
that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
With everything, we're retooling everything into this natural cycle, the zero waste cycle, the Mobius strip of existence.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And since you're talking about that, I was looking at a lot of the different technology that you are looking to bring in there, and one that really fascinated me was the plastic machine that takes the plastic and converts it to oil.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, what kind of oil what will you be able to use that oil for? Is it like motor oil? Because it said heavy oil, so I was just, is it like a heavy oil for a car, or what type of deal? What would you be able to use it for after that?
And honestly,
yes.
In that process, I don't know the specifics of that one, but it is a petroleum. I mean, plastics are petroleum, and so what we're doing is extracting the petroleum out, and then we use it for whatever we can, if it's diesel or if it's kerosene or whatever. And so now we have a usable product, and all of the other, there is no waste in this. Sometimes it's got excess water, sometimes these have, like water vapor, and then that water we can separate out as hydrogen and then burn that hydrogen, which is generating, running that machine. So you take the plastic, it puts it in, it spits out water, and it spits out, all the other, but you take that water and you separate it out. Now you have pure oxygen, and you have this hydrogen that you burn, and it's turning the machine that's grinding up the plastic. It's just one continuous cycle.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Really amazing.
Yeah.
What was the other one on there that I was oh, yes. The one that is capturing the humidity out of the air and creating water.
I'm glad you bring that one up, because that's one of my favorites, the atmospheric water generators. And there's a lot of different ways of doing this. On Facebook, you might have seen these cool nets that they put up in Africa. They're like these really neat shapes and kind of neon looking. And those devices do work, but those devices require, because they're nets, they're basically taking humid air and they're capturing it, and they're just hoping that it's going to drip down and collect into this bin. And that works again, but not really like where we are here in Las Vegas. So in Las Vegas, you might have been out to the wind and see these giant air conditioning units out there with the compressors that are running these condensers, and you can see the water dripping off of it, because the process is you compress this air, it gets all the energy out, it expands it. Now that the ducting and all that kind of stuff gets really cold, and it's on the outside, so any moisture in the air condenses on it. But because it's hot air outside, it drips down into a pan. What they do is they just let that run into the sewer. So what we can do is collect that water, And that's great, but then you say, well, it takes all that energy to run that air conditioning unit. And what we just talked about was these hydrogen separators. So you take the water that's dripping off of there, you separate out the oxygen from the hydrogen, you burn the hydrogen that turns the generator that's compressing these giant air conditioning units. And so now you've got all this cold air going into this casino, and you've got all this water that's coming down. There's more water coming out than you need to burn. So you have a net gain of water, of excess oxygen, of the energy that's coming out, and the cold air that's coming in there.
I love it. That's practical, smart, recycling 100% again, just like we need to. We need to start mimicking the earth so we can be at one with the earth.
Oh, totally.
100%. I'm all with this. That's why I just love your project so much. What other technology, can you think of right now that you would like to discuss?
Sure.
Because, I can hear this all day long. I do want to get to Delphi.
Sure.
Because it's just amazing what you're doing out there. But,
well, honestly, as far as technologies go, I would suggest that people can go out and look up emergent technology. Or our chief technology officer, Roland Gregg, is at Global Emergent Technology. DiscoverGet.com is his website, and you can go there and see all sorts of different types of emergent technology that is emerging onto the market now. Some of the technologies they're using are called quantum dots. This is getting down to the quark level of physics and quantum mechanics and all, but they're actually figuring out how to capture the movement of these quantum dots, and they have a perpetual light now. Basically, it's a bimetallic scenario on the nano level, and it's capturing the movement between these two metals, and then it burns a light bulb forever and won't ever go out. They've got a technology on. They've got a patent on this technology, and they're slowly but surely. It used to be that to get a little bitty light bulb going, it was a can this big, and the last time I saw it was like this big, and it's this light. What they're trying to do is get it so you can have for like path lighting for your walkway, that you would never ever change the light bulb ever. It just is a light, and it will run forever, and you can run a couple of these off of there and just have your pathway lighting and all that kind of stuff. So I'm saying, looking up these emergent technologies, they're out there. All of these science fiction-y stuff, all of this stuff that that you might, people are saying, oh, it's impossible. Perpetual motion machines, magnets, they won't work. No, they work. They actually, there's a lot of scams going on out there, but there's actually a lot of good technologies out there.
Yeah, I would agree. That's what's so exciting to be alive right now. Some of the stuff coming out is absolutely amazing. I'm just so happy to see some of this stuff. Another one that I really love too that you're showing on there, and I know you probably won't be using all the technology there, and you'll probably update by the time you get to what you're doing too. Right. But I was wondering about it. It was like the turbine wind one, but it looked like it sat more
vertical wind generator.
Yeah.
Oh, those are awesome. Tim Putz in town, he's up at Reliable still. He's got a vertical wind generator that he can show you. They're really, instead of having a windmill that goes around like a propeller, it's like a paddle boat wheel that looks like this, but you stand it like this. And so any direction that the wind's blowing, it can always catch it and spin it. And it can spin it, like even at 2 knots per hour, it's supposed to be able to generate electricity.
And that's what I thought, too. When I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, this has to spin easier than the big windmill ones. Because, it's a big blade, but just it's one single blade instead of a bunch of paddles like that. And that was my opinion. It looked like it could spin real easy, especially in the desert winds that we have out here.
And they look cool.
Yeah, they do.
And really what they do is they're safe for the birds. The birds don't get caught up in these blades, because that's a big issue for the bigger props, is that birds will fly into these things, and they won't. A silly bird will, but when you look at these things, birds won't be flying into them like they fly into that, or like they fly into those big
the solar panels,
the solar collectors down there by Prim. That whole
huge issue.
I understand a couple hundred birds a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Does Peter know about that?
Yeah.
All right. So, since we're talking about it, you want to go a little bit more into what you're looking to do with the city then? And
sure.
How you're looking to create it?
Yeah. Essentially what we're doing is we're building an emergent technology showcase. So this is, imagine Epcot Center. And this is what Walt Disney was looking at doing when he was originally planning Epcot. They were planning on building it so that it was this display of all these different technologies from around the world. But the plan is that the Germans would come in here and the Romanians would be over here, and all these different countries would have people that were actually from those countries living there in a place that was recreated similar to the environment of their country. So that way, when you would come in, it was like there's a movie called Choke, which is kind of an interesting movie, but it's about in Virginia people that play people from the colonial times. Their job is to live on these colonial, like a colony, and then live as the colonialists were doing. And people would come in and they'd have conversations with these people, and then the guests leave. The people stay there and they spend the night and they live there, and the next day they get up and they're in character again. Right? Mm-hmm. Well, that's in a sense what kind of this whole Epcot was going to be, was the Germans were going to be there, and they were going to have German food, and they were going to have all the German technology, and they were going to have German housing, and people were going to live there. And people could come and then see the dichotomy of the whole thing, and they could see, they could see you can live side by side, and this is a display for that. Well, that's essentially what we're building out on these 5,000 acres that we're assembling out by Searchlight. It's a village of villages, and a showcase for that matter, but it's basically we're going off and we've got tiny homes that we're building, and so we're looking for a number of different tiny home builders, and we're going to have one tiny home builder build a cluster of 12 to 3 over in this part of the area that we're acquiring, and then up north towards the Music Festival theme park we're going to need more housing, and we might have that developer or another developer build some more tiny homes up there. But there's going to be other, all sorts of types of housing, so that way, it's just, again, it's a taste, it's a smorgasbord, as it were, And then again, so that's the residential side. The showcase of showcases is these atmospheric water generators. The one that I described of running a condenser outside and then having a hydrogen separator do that is just one atmospheric water generating system. Kent Bingham, who is one of the Imagineers from Epcot Center, one of the original guys who was designing all that kind of stuff, has his own. They're called the Oasis Machine. And you can look up Kent Bingham and the Oasis Machine online, and it's a phenomenal setup, and he doesn't use hydrogen separation. I forget how he's doing his energy generation from that, but there's a bunch of different types of atmospheric water generators, so we're going to have them out on our property. And we're going to have, so some, like Kent's are smaller versions for more personal, for like your house, but then we have from Reinhold it's like runs, it will be a megawatt plant of power generation, and it's $1.5 million just for the separator. It's just for the atmospheric water separator itself, water generator itself. So so that's not for the homeowner. So we're going to have all of these out on our giant showcase, so that people can come by and say, that is going to work in my environment. I want to know more about that. That's not going to work. Well, that's going to work for me. Oh yeah. Well, you go talk to him. I'm going to talk to her. Yeah. So that's what we're going to be doing, is connecting and allowing all our strategic partners come in. This is the whole thing. I mean, we're building a music festival theme park to have 10,000 people out there each weekend, overnight guests coming out and doing whatever. They can be doing yoga. They can be doing EDM dance festivals and stuff. But what we're doing is we're going to plan those events around all of the different IP and all of our different strategic partners, and then have them come out, the people that are interested in our strategic partner stuff, have those kind of events, and still collect tickets, and still get accommodations fees, and still make money on the food and beverage, but also incubate all of these other strategic partners.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think we're going to have to cut away for a commercial break really quick, and then we'll be right back with our listeners here. Again, I'm talking to Sean Brown here, Chief Executive of Delphi Southern Nevada Development Project. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joe Peroni.
And I'm Heidi Mancini, and we're the hosts of the Rise Above show. Check us out on WWDB.TV on Thursday afternoons at 2 p.m.
Crazy Terry here with your car care tip of the day. Today's tips on cooling systems. This vehicle's got about 182,000 miles on it, so if you're checking the coolant, check the hoses too. Just feel them and see if they're soft or any signs of fatigue for the mileage on it. They don't feel bad. They look like they're still the original hose, but you want to make sure you don't go too long with these hoses, because they will eventually deteriorate, cause a problem. In this case, this car's got a visible leak. The customer brought it to us. We'll pop the hood and check the cooling system. First, we just relieve any pressure that might be on the cap, remove the cap, take a look inside. We see it's kind of low. Now we'll start our inspection. What we found on this one is the top tank is leaking. It's got a crack in it. Pretty common for these plastic radiators to do that. I want to get to a shop right away, because severe engine damage can result from overheating condition like this. In this case, it was pretty easy to see the crack was right on the top tank, but a lot of times we'll have to pressurize the system to locate the exact leak. Could be a hose in the back, could be underneath. Some of these are hard to find, but in this case, a very common leak, the top tank. When we're testing a cooling system, it's okay to use just water, but you want to make sure when you're filling it up properly, it's a 50-50 mix of antifreeze and water. It needs the water to make the chemical work, so don't just put straight antifreeze. 50-50 mix is the best way to go. Keep it clean, keep it rust-free. So as you can see, we got a pretty active leak. You got to get this fixed, or there's going to be some engine problems. If you're going to top off your own coolant, it's really not that hard. If you got a radiator cap, just make sure it's not hot. Take the cap off and take a look. In this case, we're pretty full here, but what we have is the overflow jugs empty. So we'll just add that. Once again, check your manufacturer's specs to make sure what type of coolant you have. In this case, we're using the good old green. There's gold, there's red, there's yellow, all types out there. Just want to make sure you're staying with your manufacturer recommended coolant. And that's really all there is to it. The cooling system is a major component. You'll want to service that regularly. If you have a problem, it could be too late and cost you thousands of dollars. If ever you have a problem, come into Sun Valley Automotive. It's no charge to look at your cooling system. This is Crazy Terry with your car care tip of the day.
All right, we're back to Consciously Speaking. I'm here with our guest today, Sean Brown. He is the Chief Executive at Delphi. So we were just talking, if you just tuned in now, that out there in 45 minutes south of Las Vegas, Sean here and his investors and stuff are creating a project, the Delphi Amphitheater, and they're also looking to buy some small cities out there and start to create their own self-sustaining communities that will work with just in a flow. What is that, a toroidal field in a way, how everything flows in and back towards it.
Yeah.
So Delphi, that's going to be your first project, basically, the amphitheaters.
Yeah, we're assembling 5,000 acres out there, so about 15 miles north of Searchlight are the Irritiba Peaks and the El Dorado Mountains. There's the confluence there. Knob Hill is the name of the area. Some of the people that do, local climbers and hikers, might be familiar with Knob Hill and the Irritiba Peaks. It's a gorgeous boulder stacks that are out there. And we're just to the north and west of that, the 155 acres. And so that is what we'd been working on developing for the last 3.5 years. It's that when we started looking at all of the due diligence that we were doing, and we were realizing that we couldn't have any housing on that 155 acres. I mean, it's just too small. 155 acres is exactly the size of Disneyland. And so we're building a music festival theme park, so we need all of that square footage out there for the operation. It's not really zoned for it yet either, but we really, why wouldn't even struggle with the zoning of it, because we just don't have the space. So what we did was we found down in Searchlight and south of that, there's thousands of acres that are available down there, and there's some housing down there, but we are looking at, you know, building all sorts of regenerative types of houses and all, you know, tiny homes and all sorts of Airstream Village parks and all that kind of stuff. So we're really looking at augmenting what's going on in the Searchlight area, not coming in and disturbing and making too much noise in that area, not coming in, and there are projects that we're planning on doing in downtown Searchlight to help really do that, and actually we should talk about those, but what we're really planning on doing is coming into the Searchlight area to have a positive impact in the area I'm most interested in is really south of Searchlight, on the south edge of town, and starting to develop that area, and then, you know, as our interest was coming in, if our impact was positive in the Searchlight area and they encouraged us coming in and looking at developing the housing that's in that area and gentrifying that area, I would be interested in doing that. But frankly, we've got such an empty palette that we don't need to be disturbing anybody if that's going to be the case, you know?
Yeah, especially the theater, the amphitheater is well away from the towns and everything like that. So yeah, they probably wouldn't even hear an echo of the music coming out of there if someone was playing loud. Yeah.
No, and and on top of that, I'm real interested in. I mean, we've got all this emergent technology and all of these acoustic technologies that are out. I mean, we should be able to have like sound, you know, noise canceling headsets. It's just based on, you know, reverse amplitude of the sound waves and stuff like that. Well, why can't there be noise canceling of these outdoor events event types of things. I mean, there should be technologies out there that allow us to deaden or dampen the noise that we're making, and then that way when we go out and we have these events out in temporary places, because we're building a permanent music festival theme park, basically the world's first permanent place where you can do this 365 days out of the year. But this is to allow us to take advantage of the permanency of the place. We're still going to be able to do our events, you know, out in the deserts and out in the forest and all the different places. Our people are some of the leaders of the best and the most popular music festival production companies, and so they're, you know, individuals from these different groups are coming in and helping build this one permanent location.
Wonderful. But
then they still have their relationship in the professional world back in these other events, and so we're going to go off and help, you know, improve those, you know, the production of that side, because as we do event after event after event after event, we're going to come up with new technologies, new techniques, new processes and procedures that we can then apply out on these annual events, that they only have a single an annual live die repeat cycle. When we're having a 52 weeks out of the year live die repeat cycle and we learn it, by the time we get through 1 year we've had 52 events of, you know, up to 10,000 people out there. Boom, 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 boom. We got traffic figured out. We got toilets figured out. We got food figured out. We got lines figured out. We got wearable technology figured out. We got it all figured out in a year or 2 or 3 or whatever. But if you're doing an event every quarter, you're getting 4. We're doing 52. That's 13 times.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's located perfectly because it's before Searchlight if you're coming from the Vegas area,
Right.
so it's easy to get to. It's easy to get back into Vegas, so tourists coming from around the world can fly into Vegas really easy, take a short little drive out into the Searchlight area, hang out, camp, do all kinds of things.
All right.
Let's get into all the different activities that you have there.
Sure.
for the listeners, because there's some amazing stuff that you got listed there.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you start getting to the crazy stuff, I've been talking to indoor skydiving, the iFly guys, and putting out an indoor skydiving tunnel out at a wind tunnel at probably Delphi is where it would go. There are airports in the Searchlight and southern areas down there that are begging to have skydiving and helicopters and scenic tours, and so putting a skydiving, the indoor skydiving down there would make sense. We're building that area into a destination eco resort anyways, but the music festival theme park, the footprint for this thing is so perfect for having high density number of people coming through there. The people that would want to go indoor skydiving would be the people that would be going to festivals and stuff. So that's one of the things we're looking at there. Another one similar to that, and this would be out at Delphi Village as well, is a double barrel flow rider. So it's a pro surfing tour. It's an inland surf. Right, you know, you can go surfing on it, right?
Yeah, a wave machine,
kind
of like at
wave machines are those big. Yeah,
okay.
Well, the wave machine is like a big pool that's
Okay.
going to push waves on you, right? These are like the size of this room, maybe, and it just shoots water up a curl, and then you're surfing on this surface that's like a super thin jet of on a perfect curl. So you're able to perfectly surf for however you want, for endlessly, an endless surf. I mean, it's real surfing, right? And there's a pro tour about this kind of stuff. So,
really?
Yeah. So we plan on having, that's what we're looking at doing, is pro touring all this stuff. The iFly that we're going to put in here is going to be one that all the indoor skydivers can come and do a pro tour, because our facility is for that. It's for bringing people in to have conventions about skydiving, conventions about airplanes, conventions about cars, conventions about whatever. And so if we're going to have that, let's have an indoor skydiving machine, and then you have the pro tour circuit, and then there's more times that you're going to have that happening. That's the whole reason why I do it. I mean, I look at it, you're going to $2 million, $7 million, build it. Oh, how many times are we going to do? Oh, we're going to do those events, and I amortize that over. Oh, well, okay, now we got one. Same thing with the wave riders, same thing with basically every single thing. We got the balloons that we're having, the tethered balloons, or
What's the tethered balloons now?
So the property itself sits at 4,000 feet, and the Colorado River is at 640, 650 feet, and from about 200 yards off of our property, you can actually see the Colorado River. I mean, we're 3,500 feet above it, and so if you walk off of our property, you can actually see this incredibly expansive view, and it's just gorgeous. Well, from our property, you can't unless you're like 150, 200 feet up. So I'm sitting here thinking, well, how am I going to get people 152 feet up? I thought, well, a balloon would work. Well, why not just have a giant pole with a tether and a balloon, and you just put the people in it. Now they go up and they can see this stuff, right? And they're up there and they're doing their thing, and then you just reel them in, and then you get them off and you put. So basically, just a bunch of tethered balloons. We're planning on down south to actually have a full-on balloon operation and start doing those kind of, the balloon festivals and all that stuff. If we're gonna have air races down there. We're paving and expanding runways down there, and we're planning on having an air race series down there. It's one of the few valleys in all of Nevada that you can actually have an air race in. Up in Reno, obviously, is one of them, and so we're looking at engaging with the crowd that works with the Reno air races and say, hey, we got a space down here, and we got an airport, and we got all the accommodations, and we got all these really fun things and the restaurants and everything.
And you got Vegas for all
45 minutes away.
Yeah,
right?
anybody we can't fit in our place, Vegas is right there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's the beautiful setup.
Right.
I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, man, if I was a young kid again and I was heading out to a festival, and you're kidding, I mean, I could go mountain biking at the festival, I could go skydiving, surfing.
Oh yeah.
Out in the desert surfing.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, from our property, we're 14 miles by road. We're 14 miles down to the lake. It's Lake Mojave, and it's 67 miles of a lake that almost nobody goes on because everybody goes up on Lake Mead. Yeah. Lake Mead's massive, and it's also more shallow and wider, so it's hotter. We get the water at the bottom of the base of the Hoover Dam, so it's cold, and it runs through the canyon that's north of us is cold. So by the time it gets out to us, it's only starting to get warm, right? So people go up to Lake Mead, which means we got this whole lake to ourselves. So basically, you camp on our place, and then you schedule. We're going to take powered mountain bikes down to the lake, or we're going to take horses down, or we're going to have equestrian operation down there. But we'll take ATVs down or whatever. We're all going to ride down, and it'll take you probably it's really awesome journey, but it'll take you 2-3 hours to get down there. And then you'll schedule. I want to take a horseback up or ATV or whatever. You rode one thing down, you're going to take something else, the hay ride back up or whatever. But you schedule it. You go out. Now, our team has brought out all the inflatable trampolines and all the slides and all the houseboats, and you wanted a jet ski so you could go up and see the thing. So we brought it up from the marina. So you get down there and you have your event. You go out and you do your thing. Then you come back in, you ride back up, and our crew is just going to take care of all of the different, all of the equipment. They'll deflate it. If there's extra horses down there, they'll bring them up. If they needed to bring an ATV down, they've done that. So then the guests go up, and then they can camp up, and the next day we just do it all over again.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You're thinking about all of this stuff, man. That's just wonderful.
I'm looking forward to it.
So you're mentioning before that a lot of the people that are working with you on this project actually are professionals in a lot of other fields.
Oh yeah.
And so, I mean, not to really get back onto all the stuff you're doing in the city, because I want to get it back to the stuff with Delphi, but I just want to mention, I mean, that was one of the things I found fascinating too, is because you're mentioning there on how these people are working with some high-tech places that are actually coming down to use you guys as a playground, or at least you're in the talks for stuff like that, which I think is awesome. I mean, to make a section of Nevada, one of the hot spots for technology. That I find that awesome, and I'm really encouraged by what I'm seeing with what you guys are doing, and I see other people out there doing it as well. But to know it's coming right in my backyard from somebody as amazing as you, man. I mean, this guy is a wonderful guy. A lot of great energy. I really see this guy creating this amazing project.
Thank you. One of those technologies that you were referring to there that has come down and looking to use this as a showcase is one that's actually become a joint venture for us. We're looking for strategic partners, people that will come in and want to play in our ecosystem, but a couple of these strategic partners have come out that they want to do business actually with us, where we're getting into business together. And one of those businesses is Solar Roof. It's Richard Nelson, he's out of Canada, and they are regenerative greenhouses. So imagine a greenhouse of a 3,200 square foot footprint. So 3,200 square feet, a basement of that is all aquaculture, so fish growing in it. Then your ground floor is all residential, so you have 3,200 square feet of housing, so you could have two 1,600 square foot duplex, or you could have 800 square foot dormers. And then the next 2 floors is vertical hydroponics. So, and then this is one greenhouse. Then 4 feet out from it, you build another greenhouse. And at the top, you put this foam generating machine. And so when the sun comes up and it starts getting hot, it fills it with a bunch of bubbles. And the whole thing, this whole chamber now fills with bubbles, and it prevents the heat from getting through. And now this keeps the whole greenhouse at 70 degrees, even here in the desert. What they also do is, it's an outer pane is a double pane window, and they run water through it. And then they run algae in the water, so that the sun that's coming through hits the algae, which is causing photosynthesis. It goes down to the bottom, and at night it blooms, and now we can make biodiesel out of it. So now these houses are completely regenerative. If you add these atmospheric water generators to these things, you can live in these things. You can grow the vegetation in it. You can grow fish, and if you want to eat fish in it, you've got the water that's generating. It's got power that it's generating through the biodiesel.
The future is now. That's all I can say is the future is now.
Right.
And it just, well, I mean, we understand why we're not moving to this type of technology so fast, but I mean, still it boggles your mind. And that's, again, when I first saw you was a few years ago when you were doing an interview for another show.
Yeah.
And when I heard what you were talking about, I was just like amazed. I was just like, oh God, I gotta go meet this guy for one and talk to him and find out more about what they're doing. And then that's why you are my first guest here today.
Awesome.
Because I love it. I mean, I love just the whole vision of everything that you guys are doing there, the way you've mapped it out. And one of the other things that really grabbed my attention is you were talking doing things with sacred geometry.
Yeah.
And that's something I love. I'm very interested in. And so do you mind talking a little bit about that?
Sure. Wow, because that's a deep rabbit hole. Because for me, this entrepreneurial business building stuff is a necessary action for me. I'm interested in doing it, and I'm passionate about what we're doing, but I'm much more inspired by the spiritual concepts that connect all of this. I consider myself first and foremost an existential cartographer, somebody who is mapping out existence across all of duality, through the void and all of that. And so that to me is what I'm truly passionate and interested in. But what the business and this whole ecosystem that we're creating is just me proving to myself, if I can see the fabric of existence and I truly have it down, then let's create these systems based on nature, right? And nature, it turns out, is based off of, it's geometric and it's supersymmetric. And so that's where sacred geometry comes in. It's just recognizing the nature, the underlying fundamental nature of existence and how it truly is supersymmetric. How we've incorporated this into the project is the logos that we've developed are incorporate levels of sacred geometry in there, and I'm using the word sacred geometry because that's a common vernacular. And to me, I guess everything's sacred, so it's just that it's using these common phi ratios, and it's using these common Platonic solids and Archimedean solids and Catalan solids that are describing the relationships.
Yes.
So so I use those geometric relationships in the logos, and a logo design, a logo mark, is intended to convey a message to you. Just like the words that I'm sending to you, this is a written two-dimensional message that's sending out. So your logo is just as powerful, or even more so. Pictures worth more than a thousand words, right? So this is it's very important. It's powerful with what you're doing. So for me, I looked into the symbolism when I was creating both of our logos, the logo for Delphi Village and the logo for our other operation, and they come down to very basic alchemical symbols, and they're actually even more fundamental than that. My existential cartography has helped me recognize in alchemy and astrology, the earth, water, fire, and air elemental symbols of a cross, a circle, a crescent, and an arrow. And those are the ones, when I'm building logos, those are the ones I'm looking at incorporating, because those are the most fundamental. It's like writing in assembler language, the most fundamental language that the BIOS level that I'm writing. That's what I'm trying to do with earth, water, fire, air. If I use any other symbolism in there, you're going to more fancy levels, and I'm writing in C at that level, and then people have to actually translate it that. If I'm writing in just earth, water, fire, air, everybody speaks it.
Yes.
And so it resonates with everybody.
Yeah, I'm all about the basics, man.
Yeah.
Everything's going rough, go back to the basics.
Right,
because that's what it's about, man.
I
You know? I think we got to go off to another commercial break here. We will be right back. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Crazy Terry here with your car care tip of the day. Today's tip's about tire maintenance, how to check a tire, how to fill it properly. Okay, so as we can see, we've got a low tire. We probably saw that a month ago and said we'll fill it, but like everything, we let a day go by. Next thing you know, we got a problem. Properly check a tire, remove the valve cover, got a tire gauge, simply put it on there, and it'll read the pressure down at the bottom in PSI, pounds per square inch. We can see here that this is so low, it's barely reading. There's probably 10 pounds in it at best. So how do we properly inflate it? Well, we're going to need an air chuck. Go down to the local store or come by the shop. We'll use this tool to inflate it. And that sounds like that's all we need to do. But we need to know how much to inflate it to, because overinflated is just as bad as underinflated. We can look at the tire, and on here we're going to find a cold pressure rating rated in PSI. And it's going to say anywhere from 32 to 80 pounds depending on the vehicle. We'll want to find that so we know the maximum inflation cold. We're going to look until we find the load rating. And here we find the maximum PSI is 44 PSI, pounds per square inch cold. We don't want to fill it any more than that, but we don't want to underfill it either. We want to fill it to 44. So it seems like checking the air pressure is no big deal. It's not. It's really simple to do, but we want to make sure we got the correct pressure. How do we find that? Let me show you. We open the door and we locate the sticker. It's usually right here. It could be down on the lower rocker, but it's on the driver's side. And after we look around, we'll see right here it says 35 PSI. That's the pressure that the tire requires that was sold with the vehicle. But if you change the tires later to a high-performance tire, mud and snow or anything else, look at the cold pressure on the side of the tire to make sure you're properly inflated. This could be 35 today, but we get a performance tire, it's 44, 45, or even higher. We'll want to make sure we're inflating the tire properly. A couple of things you're going to need if you're checking your own tires: tire gauge and a rag, because you are going to get a little dirty. If you don't want to do that, I don't blame you. Bring it to the shop, we'll check it for you. We'll do a whole inspection on the vehicle if you like. We'll check the tires, make sure you're safe. This can save you a lot of time and keep you safe. Crazy Terry here with your car care tip of the day. Thanks a lot.
Hi, I'm Mike McAuliffe.
And I'm Perry Haichu.
We're the hosts of the Nevada Cannabis News Hour.
Join us on WWDBTV.com.
And we're back. This is Consciously Speaking. I'm Jeff Renel.
I love it.
Hey, that's me, though.
Right.
Sometimes my mouth just does not want to work. So
That was overconsciously speaking.
Yeah, overconsciously speaking. I love it. All right, we're back. This is my guest for today, Sean Brown. Again, he is the Chief Executive of Delphi, the Southern Nevada Development Project. We've been talking a lot about the project really quick before we move forward, just because I know we're going to be running out of time here soon. If somebody is looking to find out how they can help, how they can invest, volunteer, you know what I mean? Because I'm sure you need walking pass made. I'm down for making walking pass. I'm good for all of that. But for our listeners out there that might want to find out how they can help and stuff like that, where can they go?
Sure enough. Wow. So right now, really where we're at is we are just about to open escrow on an extremely large parcel in the Searchlight area. And we are, due to the nature of that transaction, we're actually going to close on the very beginning of it in 60 days. And so that transaction is about a $12.5 million transaction. Delphi Village itself is a $7.5 million transaction. So we have term sheets out with a number of different investment groups on both of those projects. We are seeking others to come in and play, because even if we are able to land on the investor or investor groups that we're looking at for both of these projects, like I said, we've got 5,000 acres that we're assembling out there, and there's some of the stuff that I would like to make sure that that our operation is going to acquire for ourselves. But when we went out and looked at this 5,000 acres, we realized that we're really looking for strategic partners to come in, because I don't need to run an outdoor canoe shop or something like that, but there's a begging for something something like that in there. So will we build it? Sure. But if people will come in and invest and buy that, we've got that. There's a gas station that's a self-serve gas station that we've got a pocket listing on right now that it just pains me that we're not going to be able to get it. This is something that I would like into our ecosystem because it's something that would be able to serve, it's like a place where all of us could get our gas and do all the serving while we're doing the development down there. So that we're looking for a strategic partner that would want to come in. If they would want to be a joint venture with us, that would be awesome. If not, then we're happy to turn that deal over and let them come in and play because we've got our hands full literally with this town and with Delphi Village that we're developing out there. So where they can go, the first place to go is Delphi2017.info. That is it's a presentation deck that gives bulleted overview. It's like 20 pages or something, but it'll give you a taste of what we're doing. And then at the end of that, there are 3 links that can take you to a number of other areas.
Wonderful.
What I would really like to be able to say for the people that want to do the work on the trails and that want to come in and volunteer for these things, or even just get involved. I say volunteer, and let's get back to that a little bit, the karma credit program that we've got. But we're really not looking for volunteers. We're looking for an equitable exchange with everybody. So anybody that would be coming to our operation, if we're not paying them as employees, we're working on a time bank system where we give them credits, karma credits, and then those credits can be used for tickets or food, or save enough of them you could buy a house with it, I suppose, because they're just convertible over into what we value as $1, and we say, oh, you want to? It's like Chuck E. Cheese's, and you come in, you bring your prize tickets, and here we go. Okay, fine.
And that's another thing that I love, and I don't think we hit on enough here, is this is a community, and you're all about building the community together and being one big large family the way I understood it, correct?
Yes. Yes, and it is. But what I want to get at is that we're a co-housing family. It's like we're all going to go down into this area and we're going to live. I'm going to have my own living. It might be a tiny home. It might be a trailer. It might be. I'm just going to have my own living, but I'm not going to live in a house with somebody else. We're not going to be in.
No.
Right.
What's that? A commune? Commune?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
no commune.
Right. But what we will have is I'm going to have my space of living, and Leah Grant, who's one of our, she's on our board. She's going to have a house, and Adam Krim, he's on our board. He's going to have a house down there, and we're going to have a house in the middle where the cooking is going to take place, and we're going to have 2 or 3, washer and dryers there, and we're going to have all the games and all that kind of stuff. So that way, in my house, I don't need a whole bunch of space, because most of the cooking I'm going to do is going to be over here on my shift when I'm going to come and volunteer, because I like cooking on occasion, right? I don't want to cook all the time, and I really like when other people cook most of the time, right? But I'm going to come in and I'm going to be at that co-housing unit, because those are the people I have similar eating habits with. I'm a vegetarian. My son, he's an omnivore, which I totally support, and I cook with meat and all that stuff still. But when we go down there and we're co-housing, he's going to want to be co-housing in an environment where they're doing tacos all the time, and they're doing steak sandwiches, and they're grilling out on that stuff. And I'm going to want to be over here where we're doing vegan and vegetarian-y kind of things. And yet I want to be able to go over there and have fun and eat dinner with them sometimes, and he can come over and eat dinner with me sometimes, right? So that's how we're going to be one big happy family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't mean everybody coming and living under his roof, man.
No, and that's actually been kind of tried. We've had to play Fight Club for a couple of times.
It was everybody coming to live under your roof. I'm already there, man. No.
Right.
No, but yeah, that's exactly what I meant. Is that you come down, you invest. You're an investor. Yeah. You buy a home, whatever that is. You work in that vicinity.
Definitely encouraging this.
You're part of the family. You're part of that whole Delphi. Family.
The ecosystem, right? And so we're going to have, there's already existing businesses down there. Cal Navarre has the casino that's down there in the motel. Searchlight, the El Rey Motel and the truck stop that's there.
Got bought out right around the corner too,
Nipton,
right?
literally, Nipton is 30 miles to the west of the 95 and 35 miles west of Searchlight. And so that whole area has got its own, for people that want to be in that kind of living environment, because they're going to have housing out there, and we're going to be their neighbors. I love the idea that we've got them coming into town. We're going to have restaurants and entertainment for them, and they're going to want to come over and play with us, and sounds like they're going to have a lot of fun stuff for us to go over.
I mean, and I think that only helps what you're doing there, because now the cities next to you are growing as well too, so that has to up the value.
Right, and they're going to be drawing in people, so that way we can have more employees. I mean, I want to have want to have a giant ecosystem where we build more houses, we put up our aquaponics, we have our operations running, and we can draw in some employees, but by other people coming in running their cannabis operation, or somebody coming in and building a paintball operation out there, you know, they're going to draw in more people, and we're going to build more houses, and then they're going to bring in more people that are going to fill our jobs over here.
So what I'm understanding right now then, what you're really looking for, I mean, not only investors into the property and stuff like that, but you're looking for a lot of small business owners that want to venture out into a new area.
Yeah.
And me personally, I'm going to look at moving some of my businesses out into your area as well, too, and see what I can do out there. But I think that would be a wonderful opportunity, especially what's going on now. I mean, Vegas is becoming, I think we're supposed to hit 3 million people this summer.
Oh, my gosh,
Yeah,
if we do. If Clark County goes over 3, I can remember it was at 2.2, man. 3 is just incredible.
The building here is ridiculous. Everything's on the outskirts of towns now.
Yeah.
And this town is filled up. I remember as a kid, we sat at the top of the mountain looking down going, hey, when is this town going to fill up from mountain to mountain?
Right.
And we were all sitting there going, oh, we'll be old people by then. And then we started looking at it going, nah, we probably won't even be alive when it hits mountain to mountain. I was 35 years old when it finally hit mountain to mountain.
Yeah,
it's insane.
It is amazing.
Unbelievable.
It is.
But it's been a wonderful town to live in.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people
I
want to
love
call it Sin City, and I guess it is Sin City, but it is a wonderful city.
Right.
There's wonderful people here. There's great energy
I raised my son here. You know,
Yeah.
I love it. And I mean, the Clark County schools are rough. They're not the best, but you can find, if you know how to look, and if you're an active parent, you can find good education here.
It's the same in any city.
Exactly.
I would think, you know?
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
I love this city. I think it's a
I
great
love it.
city. I'm glad to be born and raised here.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad.
You were born and raised?
Yeah,
Oh, man, that's
man.
awesome. I brought my son here, I think he was 2 or so. But he's been raised here, right?
Yeah, I
And
tell you,
love
when
it.
I leave this
Yeah.
town and go somewhere else, I know I'm somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
different. You know?
Oh, yeah.
I lived
Oh,
in Salt Lake City for a while, and that was different. It was fun. I had a great time, met a lot of great people there, but just, you know, not being able to go, not that I'm a big drinker or anything anymore, but, you know, if I got a date, you know, I want to be able to go get a bottle of wine and all that. So, yeah, just a different town. Great town, though. Great things happening here. Definitely the things that Sean has going on at Delphi is wonderful. Yeah, we'll definitely put your contact information up so everybody, you know, that wants to get a hold of you can definitely get a hold of you. We want to thank you guys for tuning in today. It was a great show. I thank you again for giving me your time today.
Thanks for having me on.
I feel blessed for having you on, and I'm going to bring them on for different topics than just Delphi. There's a lot of things that me and this guy can talk about, and definitely have a lot of fun.
I'm really looking forward to that.
So, hey, thank you very much, Sean.
Awesome.
Have a wonderful night.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Take care.